Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Woo, got a hell of a lineup of stuff for us to talk about tonight. A big old bushel bag of articles, if you will. Sitting in the co-pilot seat as usual, none other than the gray wizard of historical knowledge himself, Mr. Eric D. Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
Hey, the 12-12-12-12, big old full moon. It was cloudy when I was coming over here, and I missed it, didn't see it.
Is it over?
I know, it's like peaks at 12 after midnight.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be like a big old full moon, you know.
Does that have a significance?
Well, I guess to lycanthropes, possibly.
Possibly, yeah, sure. You never know,
Not to me,
right?
I don't think.
Stay inside tonight, folks. Back in the engineering booth, our in-house Bond villain, Mr. Devlin. How are you tonight, Mr. Devlin?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, you sound like it, man. I think he's tired.
No.
Bored?
No.
Anyway, got some shout outs. Some really cool stuff has been happening lately. One of the things I want to talk about is tonight's show, folks, is actually been programmed by you. Everybody all at once has decided to start really sending in articles and things, and some really cool shit has been coming over the bow. And so basically tonight's show has been programmed by the fans. So here we go. This is kind of a new dimension. We haven't done this yet, so this is going to get really interesting. And I got to be honest,
It all looked very cool.
amazing. Like, we've got a show to a show and a half's worth of articles stacked up right now of really, really good content.
Yep.
Really good stuff. So keep that shit coming, man, especially while I'm traveling and working and stuff, doing startups. It makes it really easy to pull this off, right? Because I don't get to look this stuff up as often, because I'm fucking busy. I got other things that, fires I got to put out, but and then I'm just getting these really cool articles and things sent over.
Put them on Facebook.
Yeah, and if you're sending me articles, guys, go ahead and share them on the No Shit Cast. And that kind of leads me to my next point, who is Mr. Mike Barnett, who's like become our weird in-house No Shit Cast Facebook page reporter.
Yeah.
And he's always sharing things onto the No Shit Cast Facebook page.
I just seen a couple of them today.
Yeah.
And was checking them out. It was
And good,
pretty cool.
good stuff. Like, again, just really poignant. So
That one would be good to talk about, but I didn't tell you which one that was. That was like the about the medical industry,
Right.
and how hemp and marijuana was going to undermine it in some way. I didn't read it, but I seen like the article. It looked interesting.
Oh, it's on the No Shitcast Facebook page
Yeah.
now, right? That's another one Mike shared.
Yep.
I'll bet. Yeah, it's Mike. But yeah, hey, you guys. I mean, like, okay, so anytime you share something there, I have to approve it. So if your stuff doesn't get shared, don't take it personal. But that means I don't think that it fits whatever this fucking thing is I'm trying to motivate along here. But and tonight, like I said, almost every article. There's one article that I picked out of all of these. And it'd be interesting if you guys can figure out which one it is. We won't say.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, but we've had Kenny Schaefer from Thought Dump podcast. I mean, he sent one of these over that we're going to talk about tonight. I'm trying to think who else you've sent some really cool ones in. I think, was it Reed? I can't even keep up anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so
Almost
many.
everybody has
so many,
at one point.
so many cool things that people are sending. So keep that shit up. I like that. This is kind of a new wrinkle. So
Cassie and Lisa too.
That's right.
They've
Yes.
sent some.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I got to give Cassie a shout out. Absolutely. So anyway, guys, that's kind of that. I just some stuff that I wanted to cover there up front. Show question. Who's got the show question tonight?
I got the show question.
What you got?
All right. So, assuming would you guys go to another colony on the moon or Mars if the option was open? And if you would, which one would you choose and why? And of course, if you wouldn't do it at all, then why?
I don't.
And to clarify, you would be going as a colony to stay for a good portion, if not all of your life, depending on how old you are.
Okay, what's the gravity difference between Mars and Earth?
Well, Mars is smaller, so it's going to have less of the
gravity,
yeah.
right? So it would be significant. And that's going to
not real significant, but yeah, you would feel it.
I would think that that's going to pose a health risk, let alone, I think it's, I mean, of course you would have to be there in some sort of biodome.
Yeah, it's assuming that,
whatever,
there was be a chance for, everything to go normal as far as possible in those conditions, which means a lot of things could potentially go wrong. But assuming that they had an established colony that you could go to that had been there for maybe a year, and they're looking for more people, and then it was either the moon or Mars, first of all, would you go? And if not, why? And which one would you pick and why?
Yeah, I would like to visit. I don't know that I would go and to stay.
Why
I think
is
it'd be cool. I don't know. I just happen to be a big fan of
Earth.
Of Earth.
Why not?
I mean, let's be honest. I'm biologically evolved to thrive and prosper here. Okay, those other places, I'm not.
No, they fight against you every day.
Every day, right? And they're deadly.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm good. I'll stick around. I'm like I said, as a species, I'm sort of best suited for this planet.
Yeah, that's okay, reasonable. What about you, Devlin?
We're talking about Mars here, right? Not the moon.
No,
either.
Yeah, which one would you go to if both were an option? Which would you pick and why? And if you wouldn't go, why?
I like Earth. We have a lot of stuff down here. It's going pretty all right, despite some problems. But
what kind of problems, Devlin?
global hotness.
Yeah.
So I think, as compared to Mars and the moon, where there's nothing, I like Earth.
All right, fair enough.
How about you?
I probably would
go. You had the question, so you had a lot more time to think about this too.
I didn't do much thinking about it.
The ponderance there is what's sort of striking to me.
Yeah, no, I didn't think much about it. I sometimes the person that asks the question doesn't answer the question.
Sometimes. Generally that's me.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I guess it would have to be the moon.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Because there's not much difference in the harshness between the two. You can't.
Of Mars or the moon.
Right, yeah. You can't go out without a spacesuit or whatever.
But it's a lot closer.
It's a lot closer. A lot closer. Help is not so far away. Not months away. Communications at the speed of light's not 20 minutes.
It's kind of funny because that's a very middle of the road sort of decision between those two things, right? So it's very on the fence.
Yeah. Okay. I might move a little far away, but I don't want to be gone for all the good parties.
Yeah.
I want to be able to take a bus back if I can, if it has to be. But I can live my life up there like a colony and have my shit up there and stuff.
Right.
What happened?
But you'd be very light too. You could like take 20-foot steps.
Yeah. Now I believe that that's like a sixth of the gravity of Earth.
Right.
I think I know that.
But not Mars.
Yeah, I don't know Mars.
It's like
yeah,
0.8 or some shit.
Something like that.
Pretty close. Well, you and I have talked about what's that? The Abyss? No, The Expanse.
Oh,
we talk about that,
series.
and they show you sort of. I thought it was pretty cool that the people that were born and raised on humans that were born and raised on other low gravity planets had
like
health
and shit.
Had health problems and things and like elongated bones and weird shit like that. And I was like, oh God, yeah. But I guess when you kind of think about it, that's probably would be the case.
Yeah. At a certain point, you would suffer if you came back. I mean, even the astronauts that went to the moon or weak when they come back, or even when they go on satellites.
Well, that guy like that dude that spent all that time on the International Space Station and in space that has a twin brother, identical twin, and they're kind of able to kind of compare them to each other through their age.
Yeah.
And I mean, his like it's permanently affected his eyesight being in zero gravity for so long. Like, it's not good for you.
No.
Fluid builds up on your brain. Like, you need, again, we're biologically sort of evolved to prosper here.
Yep.
Like, all of the internal plumbing and everything is set up for this, you know? So it's not, being in space is without Earth's gravity or 1G is not good for you. Like, this is something they're going to have to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of wild. If we're going to do interstellar travel in any kind of way.
Either that or we better start perfecting that quantum teleportation, copying,
right.
Just copying yourself somewhere else.
So in that case, you would shoot a probe or something to a location, and then you would teleport yourself to the probe's location.
I guess. I don't know. However they work it out in the future, man, like they'll have to do something because it's going to be difficult because not only do you got to compensate for the 1G for however long you're doing whatever you're doing, but you also got to compensate for acceleration and deceleration and the G's, the forces that are involved in that. So you really have this small little minimum here
with which to work inside.
You got to keep everything right there, or it's not good for you.
That the whole pancaking thing is a real thing where you, so to go someplace you would accelerate at 1G. So that everybody on the spacecraft would feel Earth's gravity until you reached a point where you couldn't accelerate anymore. Then you flip the spacecraft over and you decelerate towards your target at 1G until you almost stop. And then you flip your spacecraft over again. Then you reaccelerate at 1G. So that way the majority of the time, the inhabitants of that spacecraft are
on 1G.
Feel an artificial gravity of 1G.
Right.
And there's a formula, because I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about it one time. There's a formula that it's if you take the distance in light years plus a year or something like that, there's a formula that tells you how long it would take you to get there. I don't know if it's like double plus one or something, but it's a real simple, you'd think I'd remember it, but it's a real simple formula. But yeah, so this is a thing. Like, this has been thought out.
Wow.
It's a big fucking engine and a really flat spacecraft. Really round, wide, flat spacecraft.
Which is all okay.
Yeah. In space, it's not like aerodynamics mean anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right, you gents, you want to get to some articles?
Sure.
Time to do some fun
I'm
stuff.
down.
All right. Here we go. So first up, I think Eric sent me this one. There's no way I'm going to be able to read that. Devlin, can you zoom that in for me? I forgot to pre-zoom this to old man needs glasses side.
Level.
I don't know, man. I keep kicking around this idea of getting this LASIK shit done because, I'm getting the football-shaped eyes, and so I can see fine at a distance, but anything within like 3 feet, and I start to lose definition without, putting stupid readers on.
I feel you.
So I don't know. Like I said, I've kicked around the idea of doing this LASIK stuff and shit, but this freaks me out. Something cutting my eyeball. So anyways, on the topic of being freaked out, this comes from Earth Touch News. Never heard of these guys. Boop. Boop. But I think you sent this to me. Excuse me, Mr. Bat, but you got a huge parasitic fly on your face. This is the shit of nightmares, man.
Yeah, that's not good stuff. See
what? Look at that. That looks like a face sucker from Alien.
Yeah, man. And they say that's a fly.
That's not a fly.
It looks like it's in control of that thing's cerebral cortex or frontal lobe or something, or just controlling the bat.
Yeah.
It's riding a bat around.
Like it's flying it, right.
Yeah.
Technically, it is flying then.
Yeah, I guess it is a fly. I stand corrected.
Yeah, man.
Oh, my God. Nezrecki made the discovery while working on a biodiversity survey in Mozambique's Gorongosa National Park. Okay, so they're not here.
Great.
Sleeping better now, thanks. And when he took to Facebook to share his find, Debate and hilarity ensued. The photo was reported for depicting graphic violence, and of course, there were accusations of photoshopping the whole thing, he says. The flies, some Latin name, however, are both very real and very interesting. It's just shit of nightmares, man, is what this is.
Just bats from the abyss coming up with these spider flies on them. Spider flies riding bats. Yeah,
they feed on blood. Great. That's wonderful.
That explains why the bat needs it.
Bat flies have become significantly highly specialized parasites. For starters, their bodies became hairs. Their bodies became flattened and very hard, making it almost impossible for their host to squash them. Special claws at the end of each foot and hairs on the legs make it extremely difficult to dislodge them from fur. These insects know the value of good host, and once they land on the furry back of a bat, they never leave it again.
They're like a living briar or something. Just sticks to you.
Yeah, they kind of look like a briar. Look at all the thorny...
And then they stab you and suck blood out
Oh,
of you.
that's a great picture right there.
Yep.
All right, that's wonderful shit.
Yeah, like the one with the bat flying.
Yeah, it looks like it makes the bat look like a cyclops.
It's crazy.
Isn't that weird? Female bat flies, like their relative tsetse flies, are remarkably good mothers. The great majority of insects lay hundreds of thousands of eggs. Betting on one or two of them to make it into adulthood, bat flies, on the other hand, like humans, prefer to invest a lot in a much smaller number of offspring, hoping that they will make it to the reproductive age. Instead of laying eggs, the female gives birth to a single, fully developed larva, which immediately turns into a pupa.
Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah.
Bad news for bats.
That is a creepy... Look at that. Ugh. Like, I'm sure that's in a Wes Craven movie or something.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got to be.
You would think that it would be like something that you'd make fun of or something. Like, oh, that's Photoshop. There's no way that's just... Nature wouldn't do that to us. Speaking of which.
Yeah, speaking of what nature will do to you. A human chimera shows why DNA evidence is questionable. Knew this was coming sooner or later, right? What's that, Devlin?
I just let out an exhale.
A sneeze.
In Greek mythology, a chimera is a fire-breathing monster made of multiple creatures: a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail. In real life, chimeras are rare and not quite as dramatic, but they do exist. Chimerism is a term in genetics that describes a single organism with two distinctive genotypes. So they're like a hybrid human.
Yeah. My cousin is a chimera.
Really?
Yeah.
Some human twins can be born chimeras, and other people can become genetic chimeras as a result of medical procedures. This is creepy. The medical procedures part of it, right?
Yeah, a bone marrow transplant.
Yeah.
People that get that, this can happen to them.
That's what it says. Chris Long, an American who had a bone marrow transplant, discovered this firsthand when his genetic tests came back showing not only his own DNA, but also that of his German donor in his blood, cheeks, and even semen. Oh, okay. He learned this because he happens to work in the Washoe County Sheriff's Office in Nevada.
Yeah.
So he ran his own DNA and did like a before and after comparison then.
Yeah.
The forensics experts expected some alteration to his DNA as a result of the transplant. The goal had been to replace his blood with his donor's. So that would naturally affect the genetics of his blood, but they never imagined the extent of change he actually experienced. So I wonder if you get blood transfusions then. Bone marrow for sure, because that creates blood cells, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of the thing. So you'll have the marrow of another human being creating blood cells in your body. They just happen to be compatible with yours.
Yeah. That's how they ended up there, because they were a donor.
Wow. His colleagues at the sheriff's office expressed a similar sentiment. Were kind of shocked that Chris was no longer present at all. Yeah, his DNA's changed now. So there's a level of super criminal type thing that, like,
Yes. That's right, Bond. I've had my DNA altered by bone marrow transplants to fool you and your cronies.
absolutely.
or with CRISPR, or whatever.
Devlin, any input on there, Mr. Bond villain? Are we close?
Yeah, you're pretty close.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, this definitely raises questions about the reliability of DNA evidence now, because that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. One Korean case, an investigator encountered a victim's body with two distinct sets of DNA, one belonging to a man and another to a woman.
Oh.
It turned out that the dead man had a bone marrow transplant, and his daughter was the donor. Her DNA had, in part, replaced his.
Which came in part from his.
Whoa.
And now he has, in part, his wife's. He's a family man.
No, his daughter's.
Yeah, but what's part of her DNA from? His wife. Her mom.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, 50%, right? So 50% him, or more or less 50%. And then back to him. That gives him qualities of both the uniqueness of his daughter and his wife in that sense. He's a real family man.
It says if a chimera like Long with the DNA of another in his semen were to commit a rape, for example, genetic testing would lead police astray.
Sure.
Yet juries put a lot of faith in DNA evidence. Some say too much.
Now.
For sure. Especially if people are altering their DNA.
Yeah.
With kits you can have mail ordered to your house.
So like we've talked about with deep fake and then the audio and CRISPR and this sort of a situation, which is semi-natural.
Wow, huh?
There ain't much you can really put your faith in.
Anymore.
No. And that's already, and all these things exist because you can't put your faith in
what
general observation and what people can remember, right?
Yeah. Because
they always fuck it up.
Okay. So another new world coming, man. Like, wow. Failing to account for lab mistakes and other mix-ups, they consider it irrefutable proof, much more reliable than witness testimony or an alibi.
Yeah, that's why they got here.
So you could be like, you could send I don't know. There's exposure here too if you're like a bone marrow donor and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because let's say you do an ancestry test, but you're also a bone marrow donor, and someone that gets your bone marrow commits a heinous crime.
Yeah.
And they track that bone and they track that DNA and they go, oh, that was you.
Yeah. So like if this cop committed a crime and nobody knew what was going on, the DNA would lead back to the guy in Germany.
Right. Yeah, this is a problem, isn't it?
It is occasionally.
So yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, don't donate your bone marrow.
Yeah,
I mean, what does this mean?
Well, just that we live in a world where, right as we're finding out what something is, we're also able to alter it at the same time. Used to be you figured out what something was, and then you worked on that, and you figured out how you could alter it. But in this sense, a lot of this stuff, right as we're on the cusp of figuring out what everything is and is all about, we're also able to switch it in, switch it out, turn it on. We don't yet know it all, but we're certainly able to do it all.
Yeah, we have all of the technology and none of the wisdom.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? We have all the power, none of the wisdom.
Yeah. Yep. And, in the cases like bone marrow transplants, it's amazing and you're saving people's life. But look at what you didn't know you were doing, right? Like later on you find out that, I don't know how long people have getting bone marrow transplants, but I'm pretty sure it's been for longer than they realized that this was happening.
That this could be a possibility.
Yeah.
Even. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's always ramifications, and we're just figuring out how things react, especially this is an extreme example for this guy. In a bone marrow transplant, this is an extreme example. In most bone marrow transplants, they don't have this kind of overwhelming DNA takeover, and a lot of times the normal genome reasserts itself over the new genes, right? So that you can only find traces like in the bone marrow, but not in other parts of the body, like the semen. This is an extreme case where this thing just seemed to rewrite his DNA in every sense, and it was like unexpected.
Right.
But, nobody's really been keeping track either, so they don't necessarily know how many people probably have had that happen to if they're not following up on them so many years later.
Right.
Most doctors would say you need this transplant, and yeah, you're gonna, whatever this is gonna work itself out in a few months and you'll be fine, right? But the weird thing is, he's still the same guy. It didn't change who he was, it seemed, and he didn't feel it or know.
Or didn't necessarily, that we know of, alter his personality or anything like that per se.
But his nature of procreation was certainly overtaken by nature. And,
Sure.
And another nature's ability to procreate. So, this DNA took over those sperm cells. And so now if he has kids.
Well, what would happen in the... Okay.
But that would be like how many genomes? His daughters, his wife, his, and this German guy's.
All right, let me postulate something really gross to you for a second here, okay? Like the guy that had his daughter's DNA because he got a bone marrow transplant from his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So now her DNA is now in his semen, and then he gets her mom pregnant again.
Yeah, see, you're starting to talk about
what
some
happens
kind of prophecy from Dune or something.
Right, what's
I don't
happening
know.
there? Okay.
Then he's going to follow the golden path or something, and everything will change.
And then that child is the spawn of
something.
I don't know. It's
Quizak Haderach.
Yeah, it definitely feels apocalyptic, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
or like it should be apocalyptic.
Yeah,
somehow.
some paradigm shift.
Okay,
superheroes are created,
and now you've had a peek inside my brain. Speaking of peeking inside my brain, this one I think Kenny sent me this. Oh, I can't say because we're letting people pick which article they think I picked myself.
Oh man,
this is a freebie.
Yeah, that was a freebie. So thanks, Kenny. Sorry, didn't mean to ruin that. But monkey pig hybrids created by Chinese scientists. This comes from the Independent.
Man, nothing sounds more fun than a monkey pig.
The last article was quartz.com, by the way, folks. But monkey pig hybrids.
Monkey pig.
How do we feel about that headline, boys and girls?
I don't know. I like it.
I love it.
Do we want one? Do we want it like as a pet?
I think I might.
Could be our mascot.
I think this is how you get those orc-like characters from Return of the Jedi that was manning Jabba the Hutt's palace.
Oh.
Monkey pig hybrids.
What happens if you give these guys bone marrow transplants?
What happens to their semen?
I don't know. What kind of hybrid is it going to be?
The weird shit we talk about on this show. Chinese scientists have successfully bred monkey pig hybrids as part of a research.
I want to believe somebody came out and went, success! And shoved a monkey pig in someone's face.
Look what we did. Research into the growth of human organs for transplantation into animals.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what this is a precursor to pig-human hybrids.
Nice.
Although the two Chimera piglets...
Orcs, in other words.
Here we go with Chimeras again. The two orcs died within a week of being born. Both were found to have DNA from macaque monkeys in their heart, liver, spleen, lung, and skin.
Just parts, then. They still look like pigs.
Yeah, they definitely did. They were bred from more than 4,000 embryos, which were implanted into a sow using in vitro fertilization, according to the New Scientist. Turkey baster.
Yeah.
A team from the State Key Laboratory of Stem Cell and Reproductive Biology in Beijing. That's a thing. Genetically modified monkey cells to produce a fluorescent protein, allowing the researchers to track the cells and descendant cells.
As we have found is commonly done.
Like under black light and stuff, you can make them glow. Some of them actually fall. Here we go again. Bioluminesce.
Yeah.
Look at that shit. I'm learning stuff, man. The modified cells were injected into the pig embryos 5 days after fertilization. Okay.
We got it started and warmed up. Put it in the bird.
So 10 piglets were born, of which 2 were chimeras. The monkey cells made up only 1 in 1,000 and 1 in 10,000 of the remaining pig cells. Scientists are aiming to repeat the experiments to create healthy animals with higher concentrations of monkey DNA and to eventually create a fucking orc, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love how they're like, you know what this needs? We need like a few more doses of monkey DNA. Just little doses. Add some more monkey to that.
Hey, did you catch where this is from again? It's in
Chinese, yeah.
Here we fucking go again, China, with this weird...
It's like biological...
What are you doing?
Biological alchemy, right?
And then the stuff that's getting like released into the wild is a little alarming too. We're going to give these monkeys human brain tissue, then turn them loose.
I feel like I could do like a post-apocalyptic campaign that was based on the idea in the beginning that like you've heard where there's more tigers in Texas than there are in the wild.
Right, yes.
And then, of course, if the world comes to an end, then they get out, right? That's a bad place to be in Texas because there's like copperheads, rattlesnakes, and apparently more lions than any place else.
Right,
yeah,
right.
It's just mostly flat fucking Texas, right? So that sounds bad, right? But, the characters start off there and they fight these things, right? But as they gain levels or whatever, or abilities, they end up eventually going to China where what got loose was some crazy-ass Chinese experiment things, that went awry and was released out into the wild, right? And have now taken over this fucking forest, and you're traveling through it to get somewhere, and oh, geez.
You start getting mugged by monkeys.
Spider monkeys and stuff.
And, space-sucking spider, bat riding
yeah,
spider.
Exactly. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
Time to stop.
Yeah, this is bad.
That's what nature can come up with on its own.
Right.
Imagine how much we're going to fuck shit up,
We're just sending out a little bit of chaos into that natural flow of DNA into nature, just sending it out there like a ripple. I wonder what this will do. I wonder if the natural genome of nature will overtake this and shut it down like they did the mosquitoes. Maybe we just keep causing enough waves, we'll make it. And they call that gene drive, right? Yeah, like when they're taking a gene and they're changing it in a population that will breed that gene to the whole population or that lack of that gene, that's called a gene drive. A gene drive is generally to take down a species.
Like wipe it out?
Yeah. By changing something in them so that when they breed, the next generation gets it and it keeps them from
overpopulating and stuff.
Well, it just kills them all out. It somehow like turns off like their reproduction mechanism or something. So
this is a legit thing that nature does to control population?
No, this is one of the things that they're doing with CRISPR.
Oh, right. Yeah, we talked about that with mosquitoes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And apparently that's called gene drive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either until like recently. I was reading about it. I got an email on my personal email from some company offering me CRISPR. I shit you not. And that's how I started reading about it and stuff. And then anyway, they were calling it gene drive, and it's basically where you cause a population to self-destruct. I mean, and it's like the whole species.
Like just click.
Yeah, like one generation and they're done.
And so here's the alarming thing. That capability is available.
Yeah, and they're going into communities, and they're asking, like islands and stuff, like self-contained communities or bio areas, and they're seeing if they can convince people to allow them to do that, And
so like wipe out insects and parasitical insects and things.
But it's usually specifically a type of insect.
Mosquitoes.
Like, but it could be like anything. It could be rats, too. They were talking about maybe trying it in New Zealand because I guess they got like a really bad rat
overrun
population.
with rats, huh?
I guess. Volcano has been stealing all the news, but I guess prior to that there's been a lot of rats there. Maybe there's not, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's a whole situation that with the tourists that were standing in that volcano when it went off.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
I'm like, oh, damn, man, like.
Bad luck, huh?
Yeah, they got some people. I think there's some survivors, and but it really messed them up, like severe burns and things when rescuers could kind of get out there. But like literally, the whole thing was caught on a webcam.
Wow, I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, they had a webcam that was set up there that was always looking down in the caldera.
Oh,
and there was like a tour guide running a tour. If I got my facts straight, it was like a tour guide running a tour down in this dormant volcano caldera, and it went boom.
Oh,
it just erupted. and like nobody saw it coming. So, yeah, talk about bad luck. It was like anyway, it's a downer. I don't
supposed to be the newest place on the planet that was populated by humans.
Is New Zealand?
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
If you've ever watched Lord of the Rings, it's a gorgeous place. I mean, it really is. And really cool people too. Seems like culturally.
Yeah.
So this one comes from Futurism. We've had some good luck with Futurism recently. They're always on the fence, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes they serve up a turd, and I'm like, I'm about to cut you, bitches. Like, you gotta quit this. This AI code decodes your brain waves and draws what you're looking at. Draws a picture, not drawers. Researchers have created an AI that draws what a person is looking at in real time just by reading and decoding their brain waves. Perhaps most impressive of all, the technique is non-invasive.
Yay, that's impressive.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, just the...
Yeah. With all the brainwave information gathered through a cyberpunk-looking electrode-covered electroencephalography headset, EEG,
and
encephalography.
Yeah,
Ooh, electroencephalography.
Yeah.
Researchers used quote.
The easy word became the hard word.
Encephalography. Quote, researchers used to think that studying brain processes via EEG is like figuring out the internal structure of a steam engine by analyzing the smoke left behind a steam train. Researcher how would you pronounce that? Gregory Rashkov said in a press release, quote, we did not expect that it contained sufficient information to even partially reconstruct an image observed by a person, yet it turned out to be quite possible.
We didn't think this shit would work at all, but wow, man, it absolutely works. Do you have money?
Right.
Yeah,
Where is it?
We'd like some grants.
Where did you hide the...
Can you pay us to do more research?
Yeah, man. This is some Orwellian shit going on here, Bubba. The team from the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology and Russian corporation Neurobotics started their study, available on the preprint server BioRxiv, or XIV, by placing a cap of electrodes on participants' scalps so they could record their brain waves.
Yeah, it turns out they make their way up there to Russia, the characters do, and then they get attacked by cyber things that's partially biological and partially cybernetic. Like they're working on what was that institute again?
That was, you're going to make me say that again. Neurobiotics,
yeah. Sounds like putting brains in with robot parts.
NB Corporation, we're here for your safety.
Yeah.
They then each had participants watch 20 minutes worth of 10-second long video fragments. The subject of each fragment fell into one of 5 categories, and the researchers found that they could tell which category of video a participant was watching just by looking at their EEG data. All right, so this is something different, though, than reading somebody's thoughts.
Apparently.
It seems like they have to actually be looking at, like they're intercepting the signals going back and forth through the optic nerve.
That's what it sounds like, but could I say that if they said that they didn't even think this would work and it did, that I hope it's not going to be like, yeah, man, we had no idea that you could do this. Oh, and look, you don't even have to be watching anything. You just be thinking strongly of something.
About something,
right.
You
know, like, I don't know what they're going to stumble upon.
What comes up next? Well, like I said, this gets really freaking weird really fast. Like,
I hope it's just like you got to look and it's picking up signals, not like a tuning device.
Yeah.
Like, just.
Well, no, this is the infancy of the technology. Now it's a scalp thing.
Yeah.
In 2 months, after the CIA gets a hold of it, it'll be they can point an ink pen at you.
Yeah.
You know?
And look in your head through your eyeball.
And then read all your thoughts.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I know, right? Here we go. They then had each participant said that for the next phase of the research, the scientists developed 2 neural networks. Why not? 2. We'll just do 2 neural networks. They trained one to generate images in 3 of the tested categories from visual noise, and the other to turn EEG data into comparable noise. When paired together, the AIs were able to draw surprisingly accurate images of what a person was looking at solely from their real-time EEG data. Step 1. Under present-day technology, the invasive neural interfaces envisioned by Elon Musk face the challenges of complex surgery and rapid deterioration due to natural processes. They oxidize and fail within several months, Rashkov said. Quote, we hope we can eventually design a more comfortable neural interface that does not require implantation.
It's interesting that it does it in real time. I mean, most things are hard to get real time.
This is not, I said Orwellian earlier. I think this is more Matrix-y than Orwellian, right? This is about putting the plug in.
Transhumanism, man.
Only it not having to be implanted.
Yeah.
Well, then right now it's only one. It seems like this is only one way.
Yeah, but
like they're not in. Oh wait, no, they did interject images into. For the next phase of the research, the scientists developed 2 neural networks. They trained one to generate images, and 3 of the tested categories from visual noise. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading that backwards. I am. Yeah. So they were able to decode what someone was seeing. That's what they're saying there.
That's good to know.
That's transhumanism.
Yeah,
and spooky as shit.
They'll put it inside your head before long. It might be invasive now, but I bet it will be a part of something that is in your head someday.
Like you're born and then this thing happens. Like
no, I just mean, well, maybe that too, but I mean, I'm just saying that once they start doing head transplant like stuff in your head, that this could be something that would be a part of that.
Right.
Like a feature of that. This would be a feature maybe of that. Right, where you could look at something and transmit it to somebody else with a neural network in your head that does many other things, but one of the things it does is you're able to look at something and send that feed to somebody.
Altered Carbon, right?
I haven't seen it yet. People keep telling me to watch it.
All right, but okay, so no spoilers then, but there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about here that is sort of in that sci-fi fantasy series.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like.
That was based on this one particular author's work. I can't remember his name, but the game Eclipse Phase deals with a lot of this stuff too and goes into great detail about it, actually. It's really interesting, and they cite his work and a few other people's work, but mainly the guy that did Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
I think it was like a set of books maybe originally, and then I seen it kind of surface in role-playing games, and then now I'm seeing it as a TV series, which I haven't seen yet.
It's really, really, really good. Really good. Highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. I think is where I watched it. But I liked it a lot. It's a really good series. Really, it's got a little bit of everything, but it's sort of like a more of a visceral shoot 'em up kind of action. Yeah, there's dimensions to it. You'll just have to watch it.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, it's on my list.
Fucking take notes. God. I had to go back and rewatch the episode. Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, still can't get my mind around what just happened. Okay, so this was another, or was it?
Beautiful.
This comes from BBC News. Beautiful dinosaur tail found preserved in amber.
And it is. It's very pretty. It's like a big peacock.
And there it is. It's got feathers.
Yeah.
And ants, apparently.
Oops.
Apparently it wasn't just the tail that got caught.
How long have you been in there?
It says, this one-of-a-kind discovery helps put flesh on the bones of these extinct creatures, opening a new window on the biology of a group that dominated Earth for more than 160 million years.
Dum, dum, dum. Way longer than this.
Yeah. So they had feathers. It was thought that they were lizards, but it turns out they probably look more like birds.
Yeah.
Which substantiates a lot of that they just eventually evolved, the ones that survived and evolved into birds.
Yeah, which they may have been heading into anyway.
Yeah. Oh, because of the global mass extinction stuff, cataclysmic events that were happening. Right?
Yeah, and if they had feathers, they may have been evolving in that direction.
Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, just as is. One of the smartest animals on the planet is the Caledonian crow.
The smallest animals?
Smartest animals
okay.
on the planet is the Caledonian crow.
Okay.
So, I mean, birds are really smart, I guess is what I'm saying. Crows in general are really smart.
I heard this once that they have a problem during wildfires because crows have started figuring out now that when there's a wildfire, it causes rodents and things to leave the area that's burning or getting ready to burn, in which case it flushes them out. So these fuckers will go, the firefighters will be fighting, putting a fire out, getting it almost out, and these little bitches will pick up a fucking hot ember and take it someplace new and dry and drop it.
Yeah.
And start another. They've like documented them doing that.
Yeah.
So that they can pick off, birds of prey, so they can pick off.
Yeah, animals.
Pick off animals and
stuff.
I'm
Little,
like,
little mice.
I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
Still predators.
So the animals are starting to use fire as a tool.
Well, yeah, we talked about that too, that some of these animals are entering into the Stone Age.
Stone Age.
Yeah, and crows in general, and Caledonian crows and certain primates.
Bro, they outnumber us by a lot.
Well, they're only in the Stone Age.
But there's a lot of stones.
Yeah. Did you know that crows can recognize people's faces, individual people's faces? Yeah, they can tell the difference between you and me if we walk out there. If I go out there and piss them off,
they'll remember you.
They will, and they'll sound off an alarm to everybody, and they'll take flight or go up in trees. They also have funerals. When one of their kind dies, they'll have funerals for them. Like
they get a casket.
They all will fly down to the ground and just hang out on the ground. It's like they're sad or mourning and stuff. They'll just kind of sit there with their head hanging low, and they just do it for like a day or so, and then
they move on.
Yeah, but when one of their members die in their murder, they know, they recognize it, and they do this.
There's other animals like that too.
Yeah.
Pack animals, a lot of pack animals, I think, like elephants, I've heard are very, once they've bonded with another animal, they bond. I mean, emotionally, they like remember them for their entire lives.
And elephants can paint.
Yeah, apparently, right?
Yeah. Like do abstract paint from memory.
That's wild.
Yeah, I've seen elephants paint like a pot and a flower when there wasn't none around and stuff.
Come on.
Yeah, no, there's like a video of it and stuff. And the things the crows do are even more impressive, mechanically speaking.
Yeah.
Watching some of the stuff that they've set up for them to do, like a task that they've got to do, a set of tasks to get a tool to get some food. It's crazy.
Well, I know gorillas can learn sign language.
Yeah, sure.
A very functional form of sign language, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So let's alter their DNA and just finish pushing them over the edge.
Yeah.
And we would end up with...
and that's what those one people did.
Oh, Devlin, what's his name? The big gorilla guy in Overwatch. What's his name?
Winston.
We'd end up with like real-life Winstons. Yeah. I would love that. I'd love all that. Okay, so I think we successfully covered this, right? This is the first time we found dinosaur material preserved in amber. The study's first author, blah, 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 99 million years old, lots of cool shit.
And then look, there's a fuzzy dinosaur now.
Yeah.
A fuzzy, feathery dinosaur, like chomping down on a bug, I think.
Yeah.
It's weird. Anyway, is that like a big meteor coming behind it?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, right. That's exactly what that is. I think it's supposed to be a tree. But there it is. Yeah, that's definitely feather-like.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Quote, we can be sure of the source because of the vertebrae are not fused into a rod or pygos, whatever, as in modern birds as their closest relatives. He explained, instead, the tail is long and flexible with keels of feathers running down each side. So it looks like that theory's starting to pan out now that that was a long time ago that they postulated that they were probably birds, right?
Yeah,
or they
80s,
probably
I
look
think.
more like birds.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, what? Pluto's still a planet, bitch. All that kind of stuff.
Give me my gray dinosaur and Pluto back.
Right. My dinosaurs were all green, right?
Gray, yeah. Look like the same plastic they made the army guys out of.
Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes more pliable version, right? So you kind of, when you fell on them, boy, stepping on them barefoot still sucked. So this is coming from Vice News. What?
I was just wondering about stegosauruses.
Wondering what?
Well, you know what they look like, right? Show a picture of a stegosaurus. Can you show me a picture?
Devlin can.
Devlin, can you show me a picture?
He's
of
going.
Of a Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus.
What? There we go. Hit that image button.
Yeah, the iconic dinosaur figurine. Yeah.
Okay, so Stegosaurus, I'm wondering, the more I look at them, the more I'm asking myself, how did they breed?
Well,
I think you're asking the
violently
real
would be
question.
my guess.
Yeah.
Was that Devlin? I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I think he's asking the real questions.
Yeah.
Because now I'm curious.
No, I'm curious.
Yeah, like how? What did they mount that bladed back and spiked tail, or did they roll over? They
Lay on
No,
the
they
side?
laid eggs, right?
What?
I suppose there's still fertilization.
Oh, right.
Yeah, there should be, right?
Yeah,
Fertilization.
there would still be fertilization. Well, I can tell you, I've seen chickens do it, and it's violent as fuck.
It doesn't look fun, huh?
Feathers everywhere.
Sorry, I was just thinking of we were talking about dinosaurs, and I was thinking of Stegosauruses, and I'm like,
So if
how did they breed?
I was getting at is if they evolved to be birds,
Then all those plates maybe would just be feathers.
they're actually feathers, yeah, softer. And then it's like party.
I think I have your answer.
Oh, good.
It's right there.
Obviously, stegosauruses could not mate on their back, just like most modern animals do. The plates will force these dinosaurs to practice a very different way of mating position.
Yeah, go on.
There are some options. The male and female could mate with their heads pointing to opposite directions,
What?
enabling them to mate successfully. This is someone wrote this who's never done this.
who's never wrote before.
No, has never had sex before. Could easily, it's like, I don't know about that.
I
Yeah.
encourage everyone at home to find their own pictures of Stegosauruses and ponder this.
I love this little rat hole we're going down here. This everything you ever wanted to know about dinosaur sex
Well,
from
there you go.
Smithsonian Magazine.
Ooh, Smithsonian.
That's a
how
thing.
prominent.
The shit you find when you Google stuff.
Stegosaurus sex.
Flexible stegosaurus. Oh, man, I lost that article.
I think we should be done with this.
Why?
Some good articles we could go over.
Oh, okay.
Why?
I think Devlin read ahead a little bit, didn't he? He's like, nope.
Oh my gosh, I don't want. We already have
No more badgering.
sex robots. We don't need dinosaur sex as well.
No, that's our fucking hashtag for the show this week is hashtag dinosaur sex.
Yeah, I say that we use some of that amber DNA of dinosaurs and make some Stegosauruses and watch them closely.
And see what happens.
Yeah,
See what they figure out.
exactly.
Why did Jurassic Park actually happen? Well,
Well,
Because
We
nobody
want-
can figure out how these fuckers made it.
How dinosaurs do it, man. Like, how did they do it?
In the meantime, the Pentagon.
So from Vice News, here's the Pentagon's terrifying plan for cyborg super soldiers.
Well, we were talking about transhumanism-esque things.
That's fucking terrifying. That looks like something
That's
out of
RoboCop.
Tron. That's RoboCop.
That's
for
Peter
sure.
Wellers.
that's pretty badass.
I'm Peter Weller
I'm Peter Weller.
from the History Channel. He did a bunch of documentaries on the History Channel.
I wouldn't doubt it. I liked the first RoboCop movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Mhm.
I think that date's coming past now too, hasn't it?
It
That-
probably is
that took
soon,
place
if
there.
not. Yeah, it wasn't that far in the future.
The U.S. military wants soldiers that have superhuman eyesight, controllable augmented muscles that can turn untrained novices into expert killers, and more.
This is true. In any army, any
there's
army wants this.
Do you know there's a crisis going on with the military right now, being able to find people that can pass and enter the physical requirements?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not going well.
Yeah, a lot of
And
people are
there's-
staying indoors and playing Xbox.
And they're starting. Yeah, this is true. And they're also starting to loosen up the requirements on body modifications. Hoops and tattoos on your face, and because they're struggling to find people, so they've started to and because the culture's changed, so young people by and large, do a lot more of this stuff per capita. And now the military can't be selective anymore because it's having a hard time finding people.
Have you seen Norway's infantry army?
Why would I see Norway's army? Why is
It
it?
just looks crazy, man. It looks really undisciplined. You were talking about loosening up the standards, and it made me think
Like
of
Norwegian military? What are they, like circus
the-
freaks? What are we talking
no,
about?
No, I mean, just like I think they could have like longer hair and facial hair and things like that. Like
there are units within the United States military that can do
yeah,
that
but they're
today.
usually like really badass, like Navy SEALs and shit. Like
You've basically got to be the kind of person that nobody could tell to shave.
pretty
It's
much,
like,
yeah.
Are you gonna fucking tell him to shave?
Nope.
Go right ahead. He gets a pass.
Yeah.
A new report from the U.S. Army Combat Capabilities Development Command Chemical Biological Center. That's a lot of C's.
I like it. Wait, whose is this? Is this ours? Oh no. Okay, never mind.
What? It's
Well,
Vice. What are you asking?
Who owns the research division of? Oh, it's the Army. The Army.
It's the United States
Okay,
Army.
good,
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Good. You know why you're afraid some other countries doing this?
No. I thought that's what that you were saying, but somewhere my head was minded something, and I couldn't find it.
So it's a scientific research division of the United States Army
Nice.
with a focus on biological and chemical weapons.
Surely.
Detailed what the field of cybergenetics might look in 2050. Might look like in 2050. The report titled Cyborg Soldiers 205 human/machine fusion and implications for the future of the Department of Defense reads like the framework for a dystopian novel set in a near future where injured soldiers are cybernetically enhanced but come home to an America terrified of cyborgs. Quote, the primary objective of this effort was to determine the potential of machines that are physically integrated within the human body to augment and enhance the performance of human beings over the next 30 years, the researchers said. The study identified poor public perception as being a barrier to the mass adoption of cybernetics. Terminator 2 Judgment Day poisoned us all against killer robots, much to the military's chagrin. Is it really that, or is it because it's so...
I think they're synonymous. Right? I think they would have had the reaction with or without the movie.
Okay, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Yeah, I mean, because it's so foreign.
Well, and it's just, I don't think anybody is going to take kindly to potential killer cyborgs, right? Like, whether it's in a movie or in real life, and it might even be worse in real life. So, I mean, I wouldn't blame the movie, is what I'm saying.
Well, we're worried about AI robots and now killer cyborgs.
Yeah.
I still want to live for like another 400 years, man.
Yeah,
I
just
still
to
want to
see.
do. I just want to see what all this fucking. I just want to stick
There'll
around.
be
and
people
see
in
what
2050 complaining that there's no cyborgs, like they didn't get their cyborgs, like we were
right,
complaining we didn't get
but they got their
hoverboards.
hoverboards, right?
Yeah, right.
Quote, across popular social and open source media, literature, and film, the use of machines to enhance the physical condition of the human species has received a distorted and dystopian narrative in the name of entertainment, the study said.
Damn entertainment. You guys ruined it for us.
But did it really?
I don't know, man.
Did it really?
Yeah, in the 1950s, I don't think they would have wanted this, or in the 1930s if it was going to happen.
Yeah, period.
I don't know.
Quote, defense leadership should understand that negative public and social perceptions will need to be overcome if these technologies are to be fielded. So first you got to
guys got to get over this
warp
fear
the perception of the public
in the right way.
Ain't no creepy Orwellian shit going on here at all. Like, it's sort of it's saying, okay, we can do this shit, but before that, you need to start a campaign of changing public opinion.
Yeah.
And then we can give you your super soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Cyber enhancements is cutting-edge technology, and it's hard to predict where it will go over the next 3 decades.
Universal Soldier. That was
Kurt Russell?
Van Damme, right?
No, that was Jean-Claude Van Damme. No.
Soldier was Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
That's the one that's kind of connected to...
No, this is Dolph Lundgren you're talking about.
Yeah, and Van Damme. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I think he did that Time Cop.
Yeah, he
It
did.
was pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, was it?
I was pleasantly surprised, yeah.
He's supposed to have done a comedy recently.
He's done like a series.
Yeah, I think it's like a comedy series, right?
It's like Jean-Claude Van I
Yeah.
don't know, Smith or something like that. I don't know. Some things have changed with him over the years. Anyway. The Pentagon predicts a world where enhanced soldiers have cybernetically enhanced eyes that allow them to see across the battlefield in different wavelengths and identify targets in, quote, dense urban environments or subterranean mega cities that will challenge subterranean mega cities.
Yeah.
Why do we need soldiers that can fight in subterranean mega cities?
How can there be a subterranean megacity in 2050 unless it's already underway?
You get my point, right?
Yeah.
That will challenge identification and tracking of targets, they said. Should we The researchers mentioned what becomes a disturbing theme of the study. Many of these enhancements may only occur after a soldier is injured.
Oh, you got your arms smashed. Well,
no,
we got this bionic arm.
Okay,
here.
let's reread this, right? This has got to be a fucking parody of some sort. The researchers mention what becomes a disturbing theme of the study, quote, that many of these enhancements may only occur after a soldier is injured.
Yeah.
May?
Yeah. Unless they volunteer.
Well, okay, so what they're getting at is that's a detriment right now, is the way I'm reading this. Like,
Maybe.
well, we can only really do this if we get one of these guys blowed the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then we can do this shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you read that, I was like, oh, you lost your arm. That's too bad. Come over here.
And
We got this new bionic arm.
Right.
like they're so sad about it. Oh, no.
Well, remember, what was that movie with the bugs and the Starship Troopers, which was a fucking parody, but I don't think anybody got it. Right?
I don't think so. Yeah.
And but the whole that was one where that guy got his arm like blowed off or something, and then they just like the next day he shows up and he's got a fully functioning other
cyber arm.
Yeah, was that the movie? Like
I'd seen it maybe once a long time ago.
But it was just like, oh, we'll just fix that. That's no big deal, right? And they sort of maimed the hell out of these people in the movie. Anyway. Ocular enhancements would be an attractive medical option in situations where the eye tissue has been damaged or destroyed by injury or disease, the researchers said. It is deemed unlikely that individuals would willingly undergo removal of healthy tissue in an area considered to be sensitive. However, the central and critical role that vision plays in society would likely motivate warfighters who have lost part or all of their vision to voluntarily undergo surgery that would restore or even improve their ability to see. This is the plot of one of the Captain America movies, right, Devlin? This is a plot like the soldiers came. Remember the soldiers kept exploding? No, it was Iron Man. What the fuck ever 3, where Tony Stark
kept on exploding because yeah,
right, because they were maimed soldiers and things, and then this company gave them this shit that allowed them to like regrow their limbs. But they had like these maintenance doses of stuff they had to take, and then they would just go critical and just like blow up.
I think it was Iron Man 3.
It was like Iron Man 3, yeah. Okay.
Is that what they started off with in the Black Panther? Was an explosion? Was that one of those people?
I don't remember, dude, all of those movies. I'm surprised I remember this. But how did Black Panther started with an explosion?
Yeah, well, there was at least in the beginning of it, they were showing an explosion that happened earlier in one of the Avengers movie.
No, that was a city that they were in a city and the explosion killed the leader of that
of
country.
Wakanda.
Oh, okay.
Wakanda.
It was like, but it wasn't the thing you're
Black
talking about.
Black Panther then took over. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, that's a different.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Captain America's Civil War.
Okay.
Yep. Muscles controlled with light sounds like a great idea.
Oh yeah.
The trend of fixing fallen soldiers with cybernetics continues with optogenic musculoskeletal control systems. I want one. The most likely use would be in the restoration of lost function due to injury of muscles or nerves.
Makes sense.
So if you can't walk, they can put this thing on you and give you the ability to walk again.
Well,
or
remember
run again
the
or function.
person that I thought was a dancer that fell from the
stripper pole?
Yeah. And he got
because
yeah,
it's you. Of
I don't know,
course.
that's just
it's you.
They were just so vague about it.
Right.
Man in nightclub
kinda
falls
make up-
from high spot. Like, yeah.
Just made up your own backstory there, man. Yeah, but that was right, because that article was basically focused on how they had fit him with an exoskeleton
Yeah.
that allowed him to stand upright and walk again, right?
Yeah.
To enhance muscles, the Pentagon would enhance weak tissue with a network of emplaced subcutaneous sensors that deliver optogenic stimulation through programmed light pulses, the researchers said. Optogenic stimulant stimulates muscle tissue or even neurons with light instead of electricity. The human body would have an array of small optical sensors implanted beneath the skin in the body areas that need to be controlled. So it's like a mesh that you wear on the outside of your skin that stimulates things that they implant into your muscles to give energy back to the muscles so that they can start functioning again.
I feel like we're at the beginnings of making a super suit. Like Iron Man.
Absolutely. That's exactly what this is. The sensors, well, I mean, maybe not exactly. It might be a bit of a broad brush there.
Well, I don't know, man. The military is probably heading in that way. Like,
well, they want to. They've
Yeah.
all been to see the Marvel movies. These sensors could be manifested as thin optical threads that are placed at regular intervals over critical muscles. I kind of said that. That was derivative. That was easy to... Anyway, moving on. According to the study, this could allow wounded soldiers to return to the battlefield with cybernetic muscles that operate better than their meat alone did.
back in the old days, you had to have a raised dead spell
Their
or something.
meat alone. Their meat alone. Say that again. You had to have a raise the dead spell or something.
Yeah, you
had to drink it. You had to drink a tonic or a potion of some sort. It could also allow them to control external tools such as drones and weapons systems not directly attached to their body, or let someone else control them.
Riggers like
remotely.
in Shadowrun. You played Shadowrun, right?
I did. I love Shadowrun.
Remember riggers?
I do.
You guys that control the vehicles
deckers,
and stuff.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. That.
Okay, so I see where this is going. You could hear a pin drop, enhanced hearing, jacking in. The crown jewel of cybernetic enhancement is direct interface between the human brain and machines. Riggers, deckers,
Gene splicers.
smarter guns.
Smarter people.
Unexpected consequences, more frightening than negative public opinion of cyborgs, which the report goes into, is the Pentagon's correct assertion that adoption of technologies outpaced the legal and ethical frameworks that govern society.
Indeed.
Thus, the point basically of our entire show.
Well, yeah, that one article in particular where one of the inventors of CRISPR was calling for government sanctions on its use.
When a human merges with a machine, should the laws of war still consider it a person or a piece of equipment? Geneva Convention ramification type shit here, yeah?
The police's tasers are going to start to be a bit more effective, maybe.
Or kill a normal person, or
Maybe.
or kill an enhanced person. All of a sudden, short circuit something in them, and they're dead. Would no longer be a less than lethal weapon, would it?
No, it would not.
It's already a sometimes lethal weapon. I mean, we've misnamed that stuff. If an enhanced warfighter is caught and captured, does he have the same protections under the Geneva Convention, and will his enhanced status alter the treatment he is likely to receive? Researchers asked.
No, don't plug him in.
I get this, man. This is spooky shit. There's so much in the world today that would have seemed like wild fiction 30 years ago, whether it's a computer in your hand on which you could search all the world's information, to the President of the United States using the same computer to push a foreign government disinformation campaign, says Peter W. Singer, future war strategist, senior fellow at New America. Brave New World.
Senior fellow.
I want to stick around, dude, and see what the fuck happens with all of this. I really do.
It'd be weird if in 75 years there are so many mutated people and cybernetically enhanced people that the species just changed, and it'd be interesting.
Now, I got this article, and it's got some significance, right? This about understanding the Philistines.
Well, I mean, I think it's really cool. Significance, probably, to some people.
This comes from Science Sensei. Interesting. That's a new one.
Yeah, didn't realize.
It says, as previously mentioned, the name Palestine is directly related to the word Philistine. In fact, the Arabic word for Palestine is Philistine. Or Philistine. Some Zionists take this linguistic coincidence as evidence that the current conflict between Israel and Palestine is directly connected to animosity in the Old Testament. However, nothing could be further from the truth. People known as the Philistines, how are we saying this, historian? Philistines completely assimilated into neighboring cultures during the Babylonian exile. The people known as the Palestinians have a completely different heritage and an identity from the ancient Philistines. Okay, but we just did an article that DNA evidence can't be trusted.
Well, surely they weren't doing...
The Old Testament depicts the Philistines and Israelites, with some exceptions, as not being on friendly terms with each other. Given how some people like to transplant the current Palestine-Israel conflict onto the Old Testament narrative between the Philistines and the Israelites, we need to reconsider why these two ancient nations were at odds with each other. The question was not about whom had the right to live in the land, as there was plenty of resources to go around. The problem was about dominance, particularly in terms of religion. Specifically, the Israelites were not to allow the faith of the people around them, not to follow the faith of the people around them.
Right, because they were monotheistic.
And a lot of these were not.
Yeah, and in particular, the Philistines were not.
Omnitheists.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what that paragraph says.
Yeah.
When the Israelites, like Samson, married people from different countries, remember that he married a Philistine, they tended to assimilate into polytheistic religion and neglected the worship of the monotheistic God. Hence the animosity between Israel and the surrounding nations. Okay, so this is like a history test thing here.
Yeah, it's kind of long, but I can sum it up. And essentially, some of the that's going into another article.
Okay.
Essentially, they're mentioned in the Bible. The Philistine people are, and they are separate from the Canaanites and the Egyptians and the Babylonians and all this. And nobody knew really where they came from for a really long time. There was all of these different ideas of who these people were, right? The Egyptians called them the Sea People, and the DNA points to them being Greek people from the Aegean area that fled during a time when, in and around, I think, 12,000 BCE, when there's this lull in the civilization of the Greek people, and they were like fleeing, and we don't really know why. And remember, we talked about this before. Remember when we was talking about the Antikythera mechanism? We was talking about there was this period where all that shit just dropped away and nobody knew why, and when it came back, there was this.
Right, this is the society that didn't have a priest class after it came back, was right?
Well, we were talking about the Antikythera mechanism kind of appeared there, but at any rate, though, when there was this lull in their society, they went over to the edge of this Galilee area where the Canaanites were, and that's where they came from. But for a long time, people have debated about this. I believe Goliath was considered to be one of the Philistines, and they come from Crete, so they think that they come from Crete, and there's some evidence of this, and they said that a lot of people feel that Atlantis is Crete, that the Minoan civilization was essentially the Atlantean civilization. And it makes sense because the Egyptians called these Philistines the Sea People, and they think that they stopped in Egypt first and then went over and conquered this area on the edge of the Levant, which is up on the map, and then integrate it into that spot. So they could be the Atlanteans of legends, and in a lot of the Atlantean legends, they talk about places like Egypt and Carthage being a sub area of Atlantis and stuff. So it was just a really interesting article. For a long time, people have wondered who they were, and I've always felt that they were probably Aegean people, the Greek people that sailed.
But now there's
south.
DNA. There's kind of DNA evidence kind of thing that sort of points that they came from someplace else.
Yeah, and it didn't take long for them to start to blend in with the Canaanites and the Israelites and all those people around them, and their DNA starts to get gene drift, like it does, and their cultures, kind of changes a little bit. But the pottery art on the pottery is really, really similar to what you find in Greek Crete. And
so there's other supporting evidence that sort of backs this DNA evidence up. It kind of puts the picture together. Okay. Yeah. So this is more definitive than just this isn't a wild ass guess.
No, it's pretty solid.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah, well, pretty solid.
Yeah, it definitely has ramifications. Whether people choose to look at the scientific evidence or not is a whole other thing.
Well, yeah, in the 17th century, people used to use Philistine as a derogatory thing that they would say to people. They'd call you Philistine. And
I've heard it. I've heard it used, in jest.
Yeah,
Philistine, like I've heard people say that, and I was never really sure per se what that was about. Like I never took the time to want to figure it out either.
Yeah, right. It's just like it's a Christian thing.
It's like one of those things, and you're like, all right. But
people of the Bible, they were a bad people that came in conflict, with
right. So anything that you did that was ungodly made you like a Philistine.
Yeah, they were a heathen, polytheistic.
I bet they partied though.
Probably did. Probably had better parties. I don't know, but yeah. So.
I'm just saying. Okay, this one is pretty funny. From Nerdist. Space weed, yeah. Devlin, hashtag space weed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure you write that one down.
Yes.
Cannabis is being sent to the ISS on upcoming SpaceX cargo mission.
Hey, we're sending you guys a supply.
I like the picture here with the big pot leaves floating around like the astronauts around.
Supplies.
Now, I want to point out that I don't know if we ever covered this, but there was an article, and you can tell me if you remember or not, but that NASA spent something like $4 million making sure after Elon Musk, puffed on a joint on the Rogan Experience, that his employees weren't smoking pot because they had to be sure that the integrity of the space program wasn't compromised.
Yeah.
And now they're sending it to the ISS.
I wonder what happened.
Well, we're about to find out.
Maybe they got all high when they got there, and they're like,
What's this say? Here's a piece of fresh off the stinky road. Here's a piece of news. Fresh off the wire is lined out, and it's replaced with stinky rope for people who are interested in getting massively high. Is stinky rope like a weed smoking reference or something?
I don't know, but it could be.
It sounds like it is or something.
Maybe a slang for
so many people out there right now going fucking squares. Getting massive high in altitude. Hemp cultures are going to be sent to the International Space Station aboard SpaceX cargo mission slated for March 2020 in order to research how space radiation and microgravity affect their gene expressions. And while this mission is definitely all about exploring the science of how plants may grow differently in space,
mm-hmm.
we still can't resist the image of one day turning the red planet that kind of green, right? Is that what they're going to go drop the spores on Mars? Futurism picked up news of hemp's forthcoming adventure into space, which is announced via a recent press release from agricultural technology company Fort Range Biosciences. Go Fort Range Biosciences, FRB, putting the pot in space. The Colorado-based company.
Of course, Colorado-based.
Well, of course. The legal state Colorado-based company, which doesn't lock up people for stupid reasons,
and it also
anymore.
condones taking psilocybin mushrooms.
No, that's a city, I think. I don't.
Yeah,
think
but
it's the whole
Denver,
state.
Colorado.
But guess where we live? Not there.
No.
The Colorado-based company, which is working in conjunction with Space Cells USA Incorporated and a BioServe Space Technologies at the University of Colorado Boulder says that it's sending hemp tissue cultures into space to analyze zero gravity's effect on the hemp's plant metabolic pathways. They're going to make superweed. You got to look at it. After about a month, the cultures will be returned to Earth, where researchers will examine the plant culture's RNA to determine if their gene expressions have been altered. FRB will also be sending coffee plant tissue, super coffee, along with the hemp ones, as the company also grows coffee here on Earth.
Okay, I'm just going to ask this once as an open question to the world, to our fans, and to these people. Are you sure you're not sending coffee and weed up to the scientists?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It really seems that way, right? You can call it an experiment all you want, but
that's a very potent and...
It is outside of it. It's international law, right? Because it's 10 miles off the coast or above.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah. But, I mean, it's a very popular but potent combination for the morning. A lot of people enjoy that combination, is what I'm saying. And I think maybe they do, too. I don't know.
The hemp cultures that FRB will be sending to the ISS will in no way be able to get astronauts or anyone else, for that matter, baked.
Or caffeinated.
Although the astronauts aboard the ISS are able to do some literal baking thanks to this awesome little contraption. I don't care because I'm not going to do that. It's not only because the only tissue cultures are being sent as opposed to fully fledged plants, but also because the vast majority of hemp doesn't really have any kind of psychoactive effect. Hemp, that's true.
If they were sending marijuana and coffee... marijuana and Starbucks. This would be the write-up that you would hear about it. Like, this is what they would say.
Yeah, but they're not. They're just sending hemp. And now it got strikingly more boring. That's a bummer. I wanted to hear all about astronauts getting high in space and talk about that on the show.
Yeah, because that would be full of puns.
It certainly would, wouldn't it? Oh, man. Okay, last article, guys. I think that's it.
That was the last article.
We have images of stegosauruses that we were looking at earlier.
Yeah, you guys should all go home and look at a picture of a stegosaurus and ask yourself.
I think what I really want to know is what it was that Devlin saw on that page that said, now when no one's around, I'm definitely going to go Google dinosaur sex again and find out what it was he was like. It's like, oh, well, we're moving on.
See, and here we are on it again.
Yeah, I know.
It was a dark wormhole. We're going back down again. For some reason.
So we should back out of that? Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
Dinosaur sex is so outdated. So antiquated.
It certainly is, isn't it? All right, that's a show, guys. Good show. We got back and got to do another one here. So hopefully we'll catch up on some more of these over the holiday.
Everybody do the dinosaur.
Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. That's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Did anybody have anything else? Didn't think so. Making sure.
No.
Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Make sure you check us out on YouTube if you want to watch us do this live and in person. You may only do that once or twice. We understand that. But anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch y'all next time. Bye, Sickles.